In this video, I want to show you how to achieve a fold where some of the pattern will have an innie and then some of the pattern will be an outie, like this. So this is in and then this is out. I'll show you in this video how to achieve that. For this video, I have this pattern where I would like the sun and the moon to be raised up when I fold the book, and then the stars and then the planet, this I would like at 3 different levels in terms of the folding. Again, these will be lower, then I've got the 180 fold, and then these will be the highest point. So for the pattern, it's 463 pages and 23.3 inches. So you can get this pattern for this number of pages. It'll be in my Facebook group. You can join there and get the file if you're interested in this particular file. For this, I did the first few pages here. I'll set this off to the side and bring over my folding. And if you've seen any of my other videos, I like to use this to do my 180 fold. There are some people that use a plastic slider from a report cover. I like this because it kind of almost makes the crease as I do this. There are some other techniques and other options to do this, but this is what I prefer to use. So I'll fold this over for the 180 fold, and then I use my bone folder to give it a nice crease. I'll usually do about 20 pages at a time for something like this with the 180 fold. If you try and do all of them at once, you're gonna have a really hard time marking the rest of the pages. So this is what I do for the 180 fold. Now for folding, I'll just go to this part, which is in the pattern. So right now, to kind of follow along, I know I'm right at the beginning here. And for the planet, it's gonna be, that's what I'm creating in the initial set of markings. And this, like I mentioned, these will go down into the book, which means once I've done the 180 fold, I will use my ruler to mark the page. And I do love this Incra ruler because it just makes life so much easier, or saves your eyesight. And for this one, it's 8.2 and 8.88. And then once I have that, then I will just snip this down to right where the fold end stops. So that's how far I go down. This is one of the smaller elements in my pattern, and this will get folded in. And you can use your bone folder if you'd like to make sure that that's creased down. And then I just tuck that away and I'm done with that page. And then of course mark it off on your pattern so you don't get mixed up. And for this, you'll have to kind of keep an eye on the pattern to see where you are with it, so you know what the next step is. So I will continue with this. So you can tell this at this point, I'll do the book up to this point, and then I will resume with doing the video. So far I have folded this many pages. So looking at the pattern, I've got this portion of it, and this is what's visible in what I've already folded. Now this portion, I would like for it to be outside. And I can tell that I'm starting to reach this point because if I look at it, the page this way, this lines up with here. So that's the continuation of this pattern. And then this continues here for the star. And this is an outlier. So that means that this last point here is starting this right here, which means that this is also an inside portion. So this is also folded in. Now when I reach here, I will show you what needs to be done. If I were to put it right next to what I already have, I can tell that I'm starting to get to the point where this portion I want sticking out. So let's see what we do now in order to get that part out. I will cut this as usual. And when I do the cutting, I always do my cuts all the way to the edge of the 180 fold. All right, so this is all cut now. This is gonna be in, this is starting to be out. So this is in, Now this, I don't want it to go in. I want this out, so I will unfold this and it's gonna be sticking out. So this is what that looks like. This is going in because it's part of the star. This is the beginning of sticking out of the next part of the sun, and then this is going in. So when you look at this portion of it, you can see, put something black behind it just so you can see it a little better. I've got the portions that are going in and then the parts that I want sticking out. So that's how you will create the inside and then the outside design to it with the 180 fold in the middle. So I'll do a couple of the pages and I'll show you what that looks like. The other way you can kind of tell that the pattern is changing is that all of a sudden, instead of having the fewer markings, now I've got a lot more in it because there are more cuts in order to create a design. So that was another clue to me looking at the pattern. And if you haven't done many of them, you may not know. You may not notice that in the pattern. And what I would look at is as you're creating it, so you have to pay attention to the pattern as it's being created to see if it makes sense for it to be out or in. As you continue with the pattern, stop every few pages and make sure that you're folding in the correct ones and folding out the correct ones. Here I had this one sticking out, but it's actually was still part of the star. So just make sure that as you continue, you know which pieces are going in and which ones out. Finally got around to finishing this book. Let me get the stand out of the way. So this is how it turned out. Okay, as you can see, these are sunken in, and this is with the 180 fold. And then these are sticking out. Now what I would do is, with places like this, if you can see it, if I open the book a little more, you can actually see that it's sticking out. So for something like this, I'll use just a super tiny dot of glue to make sure that that stays down. So you can certainly do that with any of them. Now I'll look at a cross section of this where I'm doing both things just so you see what the page looks like. So let's pick like right here. If I look at this page, and let me put something black behind it, I've got the parts that are sticking out and then the part that is going in. Now the part that's sticking out, this is gonna, because you've already done a 180, will tend to want to kind of lean forward. So you want to just make sure you can use your nail or, you know, the bone folder just to scrape a little bit to make sure that it stays straight out. So you can see some of it wants to lean that way, so you can kind of run your finger backwards to make sure that it goes the other way. Okay, but that's how you do the two different patterns. And the best way to do this is have your example next to you so that you know, like if you're right here, everything is going out, but then once you get here, a measurement's gonna be way up, you know that you're hitting the star and that needs to go in. So you do need to reference your image at all times. Bukami will not tell you that this is a fold that you need to do in and this is a fold you need to do out. The pattern is still a cut and fold, so it's up to you to look at it and see which part of it gets folded in and which one gets folded out. I mean, I technically could have done some of these in and some of these out. I could have done this out and this in. So it's up to you which part of it you want to fold in and which you don't. But it's all based on taking that 180 fold and figuring out which part you want to go in and which part you want to straighten back out. Now you could certainly color these if you wanted. You could add cardstock to this part if you wanted that part to be colored, or color the edges of these with marker if you choose to give it some more color. I did try and see what it looks like if it's colored, and what I did for this one, I just used marker to color the outermost edge of each tab here. So I used Sharpies, and you can see on here just the outer edge is colored. And then same with this. I mean, you certainly don't need to if you don't want to, but you know, this can add a little pop of color and bring out the image a little more if you choose to. So this is what it looks like with the outer part colored. This I still left as is because I think it's just the depth gives it. You would lose the depth if you were to add cardstock here. So I decided not to color that portion. I hope this video was helpful in trying to create an image where some of the design is in and some of the design is out. If you have any questions, comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project.